Good evening, class. This is Mrs. Albright, and tonight we are working on Module 1, Lesson 12, and our objective is to solve multi-step word problems using addition modeled with tape diagrams. And we are also going to practice using estimating and rounding to assess how reasonable our answer is. So make sure you have a piece of scratch paper so you can work on these problems with me. And also keep in mind that this is just your first exposure to this problem-solving strategy. We will be practicing it a lot in class tomorrow, so do your best and bring any questions you have back to class. Let's get started. So here is our first problem. We have the city flower shop sold this many pink roses on Valentine's Day. They sold this many more red roses than pink roses. How many pink and red roses did the flower shop sell altogether on Valentine's Day? So you'll notice that I covered up the numbers, and the reason for that is because I want to think about the question that I'm being asked to solve and what this story problem is really about before I confuse myself with the numbers. I can plug those in later. So the first thing I want to do is write my sentence to answer this question. The question is, how many pink and red roses did the flower shop sell altogether on Valentine's Day? So I'm going to write my sentence. The flower shop sold, and we don't know the answer yet, sold this many roses. So I have my sentence ready for me to plug in my answer. Now I'm going to draw a tape diagram to model what it is that they're asking me to do. Now I know they sold some pink roses. I don't know that number yet. And then I also know that the red roses, they sold the same amount as the pink, plus some extra. So again, I don't know what that is yet. So now that I have this set up to answer this question, the flower shop sold this many roses, I know that I would have to put, once I figure out how many pink roses and how many red roses, I would have to add those together. So now that I've come up with my problem-solving strategy, I can uncover these and look at the numbers that we have. So here it says the flower shop sold 14,594 pink roses. So I can write that number in here, 14,594. And they sold 7,857 more red roses. So I know they sold the same amount as pink. So I'm going to copy that number, 14,594. And then I'm going to add the 7,857. Now I can solve this two ways. I can do two separate addition sentences. The first one where I add these together to get the total of red roses, and then I add that to the pink. Or I can just add all three add-ins in one 3 add-in addition problem together. I'm going to do this in 2 steps. So I'm going to start figuring out how many red roses were sold. So I'm going to rewrite this 14,594 plus 7,857, and then I can add it up. I want you to go ahead and figure out how many red roses were sold altogether. Hopefully you got the answer, 22,451. So now I know that these 2 boxes together, the total number of red roses was 22,451. Now I can put the amount of red roses and I can add that to the total amount of pink roses in order to answer my question with how many roses did they sell altogether. So I'm going to rewrite this problem. I have 22,451 plus 14,594. So I want you to go ahead, add that up, and let's find out how many roses were sold altogether. And hopefully you got your final answer as 37,045. So now I can fill that in on the blank here in my sentence, 37,045 roses. So the flower shop sold 37,045 roses. We're going to try one more together. And we're also, in this next one, we're also going to talk about estimating so that we can check and see if our answer is reasonable. So here is our next story problem. On Saturday, this many more bus tickets were sold than on Sunday. on Sunday, only this many tickets were sold. How many people bought bus tickets over the weekend? So in order to solve this, I need to think about what the story problem is telling me. And I'm first going to look at the question to make sure I know what I'm trying to get at. How many people bought bus tickets over the weekend? So I'm going to write my sentence. This many people bought bus tickets. All right, so this many bought bus tickets. This many people bought bus tickets. So now I need to draw some kind of tape diagram or model so I can organize my data. And again, I've covered up the numbers because I don't want to think about the numbers yet. I really want to understand what it is I'm trying to solve and what type of problem this is. So we know on the weekend there are 2 days. We have Saturday and we have Sunday. So I'm going to draw a diagram to help me organize this data. And when I look at this, it says on Saturday, this many more bus tickets were sold than on Sunday. So I know Sunday has the smaller amount. So I'm going to draw a tape diagram there for Sunday. And then I know that on Saturday, it was the same amount plus some extra. I don't know how many extra yet, but I do know that there were some extra tickets sold. Now I can go ahead and take a look at the numbers and think about what those numbers are. So I can fill in some of my tape diagram. Here I know that on Sunday, it says that only 17,295 people bought bus tickets. So I can fill that in on Sunday, 17,295. I know that on Saturday had the same amount, 17,295, but it also had some extra. It said that this many more tickets were sold. So I can fill in that larger number, 32,736 for Saturday. So these two amounts together equal the total number of tickets for Saturday, and then this is the amount for Sunday. So to solve this whole problem, I would have to add both of these up together to get the whole weekend total. So I can do this in 1 or 2 steps. I can either do an addition problem where I add all 3 add-ins at one time, or I can add these 2 and figure out the Saturday total and then add the Sunday total to that. Before I do this, I want to talk about estimating so we can get an idea of what this number should be close to. Now, when I look at these numbers, I look at 17,295, and I'm thinking, well, that's about 20,000 if I round it to the nearest 10,000th place. So Sunday is about 20,000 as well. And then this extra amount here, the 32,736, that is about 30,000. So I can add 30, 20, and 20 pretty quickly in my head. When I add the 3 plus the 2 plus the 2, that ends up being 70,000. So now I can keep that number in my mind, and I know that my answer should be about 70,000. Not exactly, but in that ballpark. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my addition. I'm going to start by figuring out my total for Saturday, 17,295 plus 32,736. I want you to go ahead and add those up so we can figure out our total for Saturday. So hopefully you got the answer 50,031 for this problem. So that tells us how many were sold all together on Saturday. Now all I have to do with my second step is add that amount, the 50,031, to the amount that were sold on Sunday, which is 17,295. Please go ahead and solve that problem, and then we will know how many tickets were sold over the entire weekend. Hopefully you got the answer 67,326. And that tells us that there were 67,326 people that bought bus tickets over the entire weekend. Now I want to compare that number, the actual number, to the estimate that I had in my mind, which was 70,000. And ask myself, well, does this seem reasonable? If I thought my answer should be about 70,000, this seems reasonable to me because 67,000 would round up to 70,000. So I can feel pretty confident that I got my answer correct. So that is it for tonight. We are going to continue practicing working on story problems tomorrow. If you were not getting the addition problems correct, if you still need more practice with that, I suggest practicing on IXL and just practicing that addition, and then the problem solving and how to set up the tape diagrams we will practice in class. Have a great night. I will see you tomorrow morning.